Hey there, I am so happy that you are here. Books change our lives. What are some of the life changing books that you continuously go back to because they really made an impact on your life? I am so excited about this new series that I am starting with you, all around books. And specifically, those books that you just know they have so many incredible quotes, so many great ideas. These are the books that you keep on your desk. You turn to them often because you know they're going to give you the inspiration or insight that you need in whatever area of your life that you're working on. Well, that's what we're going to do on this series. I'm going to pick up a book. Well, so one of the things that I love to do, I love to pick up a book and just flip it to any page, especially those life-changing books. You flip it to any page and then you just see where it takes you. It's like a fun little activity where you're like, I'm not sure exactly what I need, but I need a little inspiration today. So I'm going to pick up a book, flip it to any page, and then see what I am meant to discover at that day, at that time. And so that's what this series is going to be. So I'm going to flip through a book that I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to share 3 quotes, random quotes. I'm just randomly selecting them because that's part of the fun of doing this. You can try it at home right now with one of your favorite books on your desk or on your bookshelf that you want to pick up. And so right before I hit that record button, I flipped through one of my favorite books by Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. Look at that. I kind of even matched the book today. I didn't mean to do that. But Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, is so incredible. The subtitle is Creative Living Beyond Fear. It is one of my favorite books. It just pushes you to think about the creative process and your creative work, like what you are meant to do. Oh, so good. So right before I pressed the record button, I randomly flipped through this book. I just chose 3 different sections. And well, actually, no, 2, because I have a surprise for you all at the end. So the first page that I opened to is page 105. And this is where my eyes took me down to this quote. You must be willing to take risks if you want to live a creative existence. But if you're going to gamble, know that you are gambling. Never roll the dice without being aware that you are holding a pair of dice in your hands, and make certain that you will actually cover your bets both emotionally and financially. So, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about how she's always been really creative and she makes these decisions based on her creativity. And so, I really loved this. I love that first line. You must be willing to take risks if you want to live a creative existence. We have to take risks when it comes to our creativity, when it comes to our dreams, those ideas, those passion projects, those things that you are really excited about in your life. We have to be willing to put ourselves out there, to step outside of our comfort zone, to push ourselves into action. It's not about being fearless. It's about letting go of some of the fear that we might have in order for us to push ourselves into building that creative life, to living that creative life that we want to live. But I love that she also shares, hey, if you're going to take a gamble, right? Like if you're going to maybe leave your job or start a project or put something out into the world, know that you're gambling. Like not all of our creative work works. It doesn't always resonate with people. It doesn't always turn out the way that we expect. I mean, come on, how many times do things actually turn out the way that we expect? So I love that bit of inspiration. So whatever you're working on, this is your calling. This might be exactly what you needed. Be willing to take the risk to live your creative existence. Okay. The second page that I turned to, and I'm telling you, what's so interesting when you do this kind of exercise is that it's almost like you really do discover something that is meant for you at that time, right? And we can put it in our own context, however you are experiencing the world or your creative work, whatever it looks like. We find what we need at the time that we need it, as long as we're open to looking for it. All right. So the second page that I turned to randomly, sporadically, was page 169. And I went to this section. No matter how many hours you spend attempting to render something flawless, somebody will always be able to find fault with it. There are people out there who still consider Beethoven's symphonies a little bit too, loud. At some point, you really just have to finish your work and release it as is, if only so that you can go on to make other things with a glad and determined heart, which is the entire point, or should be. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. All right. Her book is so full of wisdom anyway. It just didn't matter where I ended up. Whatever page, there was going to be something that we can glean some insight from. But I am so happy with these two quotes. They just fill my heart with so much joy because this is what it is. No matter how many hours you spend attempting to render something flawless, somebody will always find fault with it. I had this experience when I wrote my book because there was this time when it was complete and done and it was going to the printer and all the things were set and I felt like, but wait a second, I still felt like there were changes that needed to be made. There were things that I needed to fix before it could go out into the world. But if I continued to do that, then I never would have published it. It never would have come out. And so I often wonder how many videos, poems, articles, pieces of music, anything that is creative that you're working on, is there something that you're just not allowing yourself to put out into the world because it's not flawless, it's not perfect. And let this be your inspiration to share it, to do the thing that you keep talking about doing, to let it go. And I love that she ended that sentence with, at some point you really just have to finish your work and release it, if only so that you can go on to make other things with a glad and determined heart. You have to make other things. I remember in one of the interviews with Elizabeth Gilbert, she talked about how people asked her after Eat, Pray, Love. She wrote that incredibly best-selling book. They then did a movie with Julia Roberts. And she said that people would ask her, what is it like knowing that you've already created your best work? And because it was such a bestseller, right? Like it did so well. And what are the chances that she's going to have another bestseller like that? And she just talked about how she just her role, her only job is to create, to continue creating. Like it doesn't matter that one piece or one piece of work that you've created, one book that you've written or one video that you've done, like that's done and over. You get to continue to move on, and that is what's so beautiful about the creative process, is that you learn so much from creating something that you really love, and then you get to take all the things that you learned and all of the feedback that you've gotten from that particular thing, and then you get to bring it with you to your next adventure, to your next creative project. So it's exciting. So we should always be looking at what is that next thing that we get to do after we've put something out into the world that is not flawless, because nothing is flawless. Okay, so in this series, I'm going to share 3 quotes per book. But for this particular book, I did want to choose a quote to share because it is one of my favorite books. And I love one of her quotes so much that I actually put it in my book, Do What You Love. And so I'm going to share the quote from Elizabeth Gilbert that is so impactful and so meaningful. So today we did 2 random quotes and one that I selected just for you. So here it is. I don't sit around waiting for passion to strike me. I keep working steadily because I believe it is our privilege as humans to keep making things. Most of all, I keep working because I trust that creativity is always trying to find me, even when I have lost sight of it. This is one of my favorite quotes. It is so beautiful for so many reasons, but particularly because I don't sit around waiting for passion to strike me. We can't wait for inspiration to do the work that we want to do. So often I talk to so many authors and writers or creators, and they talk about, yes, they love their work so much, but they don't always feel like it. Writers don't always feel like writing. People that create a lot of content online and do videos don't always feel like doing the video, but they show up and do the work because they believe it's important. You believe your work is important, and so you show up. If we waited for inspiration to do the work that we know we're meant to do, we may never do it. We may never put anything out into the world so that we can create, put something out into the world, and then go create something else. And so it's up to us to understand that, to know that, to be self aware enough to recognize that inspiration comes when we start, when we're doing the work, when we have already sat down and the hard part is getting started and we've done the thing. We've done the hard part of sitting down and starting, and so now we can create the magic that we're meant to create. And so I hope that that inspires you in some way. So there you go. 3 beautiful quotes from Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you have not read the book, I highly, highly recommend you read the book. It is beautiful. It is incredible. She is a wonderful writer. It's a very easy read. And it is one of those books that you can continue to go back to time and time again to find the inspiration that you need to keep creating the work that you know you are meant to create. So I am very excited about this series. Excited because I love books. I love talking about books. I love recommending books. I also love great book recommendations. So if you have any or you have any favorite quotes, please let me know. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm just going to do these fun lives and showcase some of my favorite books and hopefully inspire you in some way to take action to live a more fulfilling and creative life. So thank you for joining me in this journey. And thank you for being part of this community. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so for more content to help you create a career and life you love. And I look forward to seeing you next time.